The researcher's experience begins with the process of searching for datasets that can contribute to their research topic. The search screen shown here gives the researcher a number of choices to find appropriate datasets. Let's start by clicking on Browse. This brings me to the Research Programs page. This page lists all the programs with datasets available through the AMR Register. So the researcher can explore each program and determine whether that program will meet their research criteria. Back on the search screen, if I click on the magnifying glass or the number of datasets on the bottom of the screen, I'll be taken to a complete list of the datasets that are available. And I can select the ones I'm interested in. We'll come back in a moment to discuss how to decide what datasets I may be interested in. Alternatively, on the search screen, I can choose to filter the set of datasets using the drop-down lists here to refine the list of datasets that might be useful for my research. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Let's say I am interested in oxacillin as applied to Staphylococcus aureus. We can see that the system has identified two datasets that has that particular combination of data. If I click on the number, it shows me those two datasets. We can look at another example. Let's say I'm interested in E. coli. And I'm interested in looking at data that involves finding that in urine. Here we see the system has identified three datasets. Again, if I click on the number 3, it shows me the list of datasets. And notice that there's some basic information about where the dataset came from, the number of isolates. If I'm interested in exploring this for more information about the dataset, I can click on View Dataset Details. The system provides me with a page with various information about the program, including, for instance, the dates that data was collected, the number of isolates, the protocol summary, and other interesting information about the data set. If the contributor of the data set has other documents that may be helpful to the searcher, they can be found here. The Administrative Details tab includes a DOI for the study. A DOI is a digital object identifier. This is a unique identifier for the data set that can be used to reference this data set in any publications. Finally, we can look at the usage. We can see from this tab that 3 users have viewed this data. 1 user has actually downloaded the data itself. And to provide context for these numbers, the system reports the date range over which those numbers have been collected. Now, at the moment, we're looking at this as a researcher. This information is, of course, available to the data contributor as well. If I decide that this data set is useful to me, I can return to the list of search results and request it. The system will ask me to provide a name for the data set, which I will type in. At this point, I can continue to select other data sets if they will be useful for my research. When I'm done selecting them, I can click on My Data Sets, and it shows me a list of those projects that I've started to formulate. If I click on this, it will bring me to a form that allows me to describe my project. Notice that many of these fields are labeled in red. These are fields that are required that I have not provided a value yet. So I can provide my name, my address, my affiliation, my ORC ID, if I have one, my location. I'm located in the United States of America. It asks me to acknowledge that I agree to provide acknowledgement of the source of the data in any presentation or publications that may come from this. I need to agree to the terms of use of the system, and I need to provide a summary of the research project. And lastly, I'm asked to provide the purpose of the analysis. At this point, I've completed filling out the form. When I click submit, this request will go off to some brief administrative processing, and normally less than a day. And when the data is ready for me as a researcher, I'll receive an email letting me know that it's available. At that point, I can come back into the system and click on the Active tab. And here is the request that I've made for which all of the data packages have been provided. Now, if I open that request, I start by seeing a form that essentially summarizes the information that I've provided. But if I click on the Datasets tab, I see a list of the datasets that I've requested and that have been provided. And if I click on one of those tabs, I see a familiar form. This is the form that I used to help me decide whether this dataset was useful to me. The one addition right now is that I have a download tab. That gives me a list of any file that's been provided, and I can download that file. It's been downloaded to my desktop or laptop, and I can simply open that at this point and begin to work with this data for my data research. And so I'm on my way. Thank you very much.